research part. So anyway, when I was 21, I decided that I was going to start ghost hunting, and I was going to get that picture that I promised myself I would get. And the equipment I got at the time, because I was 21 and broke, I was a young mom, single mom. I decided that I was going to just go thrift store shopping and find it. And I found one of those, remember those old tape decks that were like flat and oblong and had a handle on one end? And you did push down the play and record button at the same time to get them to record. They were from like the 60s or 70s. That was my first EVP recorder, my very first EVP recorder. And I bought it at Goodwill for like $3.
What is EVP?
It's electronic voice phenomenon. So sometimes you're recording a room with like white noise, say like television static is white noise, okay? That in the background, sometimes nothing in the background, and you'll capture disembodied voices and you can play them back and you can listen. And so my first recording device to try to capture those was a tape recorder from the 70s that I bought at Goodwill for $3. And my first camera was a Polaroid camera. Again, Goodwill, maybe $5. It wasn't expensive. And I started investigating people's homes when they had complaints of paranormal activity. But the first real one I did was Waverly Sanatorium, and we snuck in. It was before the Mattingly's. The people that own it now own it. It was during that transition where the guy, Waverly Hills is really interesting. They were going to try to build the world's largest statue of Jesus there, and the city of Louisville wouldn't give them the permits to do it, thank goodness. So when that project fell through, he kind of abandoned the building, and then it fell into the hands of Tina Mattingly, who's the current owner. Anyway, before she owned it, some friends of mine and I decided that we were going to take the equipment we'd gathered up. We hop in the car. We lived in Nashville, Tennessee at the time. We drove to Louisville, and we snuck into Waverly Hills, and we stayed all night. Yeah. Now, I'll tell that now because it's outside the statute of limitations. I don't have to worry about getting arrested over it. But it was pretty illegal what we did. But the experiences we had were incredible. And I was like, okay, so I'm not tripping. Even as an adult, I'm still having these experiences. I'm seeing these things. I'm not tripping. And over the years, I have more and more convinced myself that I'm not crazy. But where does it start? It starts with growing up in a haunted house and people thinking you're nuts when you're not. It became a challenge to me that I had to capture one on film. I had to prove to myself that I wasn't nuts.
So that's actually a question I was going to ask you. So among your family members, you were the only one that was picking up on the things that were happening?
No. My mother is kind of a religious zealot. And so she was picking up on it, but she would, try to rebuke it like it was some kind of demonic energy instead of like a human spirit. So that didn't work, that she couldn't get it out of there that way. And my sister had experiences, but she thought, oh, you'd never catch it on tape. There's no way you could ever get a picture of it.
And what about you?
And I have since proven her wrong. My dad still thinks I'm crazy. Yeah, he is a total skeptic. Like he thinks that it's all imaginary. Like, and there's a scientific explanation for everything. And a lot of things there are, but a lot of things there are not.
You mentioned that your mom was a religious zealot. How did growing up in a haunted place shape your views of religion or life, death, consciousness? What kind of impact did that have on you?
Life, death, consciousness, it definitely shaped, because I know that there's something after we're gone from here. And I would like to prove that it is what I believe it is, but I'm not going to twist things to try to prove it. I want actual evidence. As far as my views of religion, my mother's religion is what shaped the views of religion. And then later on, I found my own place in God and found my own religion. But, I grew up in a cult. It was nothing less than a religious cult. So,
really?
Good times. I escaped when I was 14.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. See, now this just added so many more layers to you.
It has. Right.
And where did you go?
It explains why I'm so weird. Where'd I what?
So you said you left when you were 14. Where did you go?
I moved in with my dad, who had left the religious cult years before.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I kind of just got thrown for a loop there because I was going to ask you some questions regarding your upbringing in your young teen years. When did you first start doing your paranormal investigations? What year was that?
So 2001 was the really big one, but I started a little bit before that, probably late 1999, poking around people's haunted houses that would reach out.
what was the need to go actually look into these things? Because a lot of people hear ghosts and they just turn right around and walk away, right? What was your thought process to, okay, this stuff keeps happening, I'm interested, but let me go search for it. Let me go confirm this is really happening.
You know, it started with the thought of how scared I was in the house growing up. I was afraid to sleep in a room with a light on, and I would think about how other people's children were terrified in such a way. And if I could help explain it, if I could help answer some questions, it calmed some of those fears. So my drive was not only to prove to me that I'm not tripping, but it was also to help other people understand that this is completely normal. You're completely safe. You have more concerns about living people than dead people.
And so they
That was
don't
my
get
next question.
dismissed as easily. That's
That's
got to
my
be the
next
hard part.
question.
I mean-
dismissed.
How do you know you're safe? We've heard stories, we've seen movies about how ghosts have an actual impact in the real world. Is there any truth to that?
Oh, there's some truth. And, you know, there's differences in types of ghosts. So your intelligent haunts, your residual haunts, which is kind of like a VHS tape just getting played over and over again from a traumatic event. Like they're not going to communicate with you. They're not going to react with you. They're just kind of there. And it's like a replay of something tragic. And you see a lot of that like up at Gettysburg. And
Yeah.
other places too where something terrible has happened. Okay, war, famine, murder, or schmurder. You know. So then there's the really dark stuff, the stuff that's fallen angel type stuff. Now those are very concerning, but they're also quite rare. In my years of doing this, and I am a trained demonologist. My years of doing this, I've only encountered about 15 in total, and the majority of them were referred to me. I have found 3 in total in all of the investigations I've done.
Wow.
So they're
What's
very rare.
All right, now I have to go back. I'm sorry, guys, but what's a demonologist now? What is the scope of work for that?
To remove a dark entity that has decided to possess a human being, you would need an exorcist or a demonologist. A demonologist is a person that is not affiliated with the Catholic Church, who has done extensive study and training in dealing with these entities. And I am a Christian, so the Bible tells me that I have dominion over all things, including these things. And so what keeps me feeling like I'm safer dealing with this than your average person down in, you know, College Park, Atlanta. And that's that the blood of Christ covers me and keeps me safe from these. But unfortunately, you know, your regular gang member really doesn't care much about the blood of Christ.
That's true.
This is very interesting. Go ahead, Kyle.
You know, wow! So much. I want to hear more about. I want to hear more about the. Did you call it a demonologist? Is that what you called it?
Mm-hmm.
And what is that? What does that training entail? Like, so how long does it take? And what type of training?
So I studied under another demonologist who'd been doing it for years, who was actually trained by the Catholic Church initially. And I studied under him for about 3 years. But I also did some pretty extensive reading, including not only the Bible, other religious texts, including the Apocrypha, because the Book of Enoch, I'm going to give you a nod here, the Book of Enoch tells a lot of things about these types of creatures. It talks about the Nephilim and the fallen angels and mixing with humans and sirens and giants and all kinds of magical things we've been told don't exist are actually in the Book of Enoch, which the Roman Catholic Church chose to omit from the Bible we have today.
And so I know that at least through television and movies, the exorcism through the Catholic Church, they use things like holy water and crucifixes and things like that. What type of tools do you use would you use?
Basically the same. Basically the same. I have a handmade crucifix, a handmade rosary that I wear. We do use holy water. We use anointing oil. We use restraints because they will hurt you. And we make them sign waivers. They have to be willing to do this. And they have to go through a medical clearance and a psychiatric clearance before I'll even touch them because I don't want to get sued.
The possessed person has to sign
Correct.
waivers. Okay.
And they have to also go through a psychiatric evaluation because What if it's a mental health issue? What if it's not a possession? Somebody could lose their life. We don't want that. So I make them get medically cleared before my team will touch them.
Wow.
Interesting.
And so you said you've encountered or you found 3 separate situations where a demon was involved. And did you have to perform an exorcism in any of those situations or ever for that matter?
All 3.
All 3? Okay.
All 3. Yeah. The most recent one was a case out of Athens, Georgia, where a young couple, they were newlyweds. They were having some financial trouble. They moved this roommate in. And little do they know that this roommate is playing with a Ouija board in his bedroom and not signing off. Right?
By himself?
And by himself, all alone, which is kind of forbidden in the rules. And, side note, I've always found it very ironic that you have to be 21 to have a beer, but you only have to be 8 to summon a demon, because Milton Bradley recommends that game for 8 and up. But what it is, it's a spiritual portal. You open a portal to communicate with. We're having technical difficulties. You're haunted.
I got booted.
He was nervous.
So that game is not a game, though. See, because the majority of the possessions that I've had to deal with over the years have come from that game, tarot, and a pendulum thing that's like the Ouija board. It's got the same kind of layout on the mat you lay under it, but you use a pendulum to select letters instead of the little, the thing. Planchette. That's the name of it. It's called a planchette. So I don't recommend people mess with those. They're very dangerous. The Ouija board, any of those spiritual communications tools, and even this is a spirit box, okay? Even this can be dangerous if not used properly. You have to sign out. You have to be very careful who you're talking to. And if something starts to come through it that you don't feel safe with, you need to just say goodbye and go. And there's been some times where I've been investigating some places where we did get some dark entities trying to communicate with us. And a lot of times they'll try to pretend they're children. Isn't that crazy?
So, that is creepy.
Yeah.
So for anybody who has played with one of those or is playing with those currently, what things would you say to somebody for things to look out for if something like that has occurred?
Well, the smell of sulfur is a real trick. Like when you start hearing knocking in patterns of 3 in your house, like that. When you start smelling sulfur or the smell of stuff burning when nothing's there, there's indicators that you might need to reach out for some help. But I want to say this about those games. Don't do it. It's too big of a risk. Don't do it. Because you don't want what can happen to you to happen to you. And it's real. The threat is very real.
Wow.
Wow. Hey, guys, for you guys just joining us, yes, we're interviewing Georgia Ghost Girl here. She's a paranormal investigator, a demonologist, an amazing and interesting person all the way around. Feel free to support her. Make sure you give her a follow. I want to thank you so much for joining us. This is actually a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Not to put anything down on you here. It was just, I wouldn't have expected to be this far enthralled by you. And I really do appreciate that.
And we got deep real quick.
Yeah.
It gets deep very quickly.
Oh, yeah. We're just skimming the surface.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, we'll be here till about 10 o'clock tonight. So we have about 45 minutes left. But if you are interested, make sure you go check out her page, ask her questions in her comments, DM her. I'm sure she'll do her best to answer you. All right? This is absolutely awesome.
I have so many questions.
Also, going forward, also on Sunday night, I will be getting interviewed by Freight and Crew. So make sure you come check it out. Give this account a follow also, guys.
Will it be on this account, Enoch?
It will be on this account.
All right.
Nice.
All right, Kyle, go ahead.
Okay, well, so you mentioned you were talking about the different types of spooks, the different types of paranormals, right? You called them the intelligence, you called them the residual, and then you called them the really dark ones, the fallen angels. And I have looked a little bit into the Book of Enoch, and I think I know what you're referencing there. My question is, you said that they can harm you, and I'm curious, do you mean can they harm you spiritually, mentally, physically? Can they actually reach out and touch you? Are there some that can't and some that can?
Yes. So all of those things, yes, they can harm
Yes.
you. I have been harmed. Okay, so the first time was my first big investigation, the one at Waverly Hills. I left there with scratches down my back where nobody touched me. Okay,
Oh my.
like bleeding scratches. Okay, so that happened. One time I got pushed down a flight of steps with nobody behind me. I felt the pressure against the middle of my back before the push. Like I felt the hands touch and boom, I was down the steps. I've had people with me on investigations that have been pushed down steps. One gentleman broke his leg at a jail in Union Springs, Alabama, about a year and a half ago when he went with me. So it can be dangerous. That's the reason I don't allow people to walk around alone. You need a teammate. Don't walk around a place alone. So we split up in teams of 2, sometimes 3. If we've got an odd number, you get a third wheel. But it's not a bad thing in some of these locations because you're less likely to get hurt if you have people with you.
I'm sorry. En nomine Patri, de Filii, de Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
You need me to ship you some holy water, Enoch?
with all that going down, how many people are typically on your team when you're doing an investigation?
So my team consists of 12 people total. Now, 3 of those do not go into the field at all. They're researchers, they're reviewers, they're people that do not feel comfortable going into the locations, and I'm cool with that. We need the help reviewing footage, doing research on the locations, so it's not a bad thing. But depending on the size of the location, depends on how many I actually take. So for Waverly Hills, I would take at least 8. I would try to get 10.
When you're assembling your team, say you have a new person and they're into it, but they've never experienced anything before, and you know this is one where they're going to. How do you prepare them for this? How do you prepare them for what they're actually going to see?
We have conversations on the way about things we might encounter, but a new person always gets teamed with me. I don't ever leave them with another member of the team.
Excuse me, you said on the way, so you didn't even give these people a chance to back out. It's like, no, we're on the way. You're going to do this now, and this is what's going to happen. Not, hey, before we leave, you could turn around now. So
typically, they're people that aren't really that scared. Yeah, I'm very careful about how I choose team members. You've got to be careful because if I just take anybody that the answers a Craigslist ad, I could end up with a serial murderer on a haunted location with me, and that would be a nightmare. Yeah. So there's a whole interview process. I do a background check.
Wow.
I don't want anybody going into somebody's house with me that might steal or take pictures of things, case the place for later. I want to make sure that my team's good.
Did you ever have anybody who was into it and you prepared them, but when it actually happened, they freaked out and they bolted?
My sister, at first, my sister, she was begging, oh, I want to go on an investigation, and I took her on one. And the first voice phenomenon we got, when I played it back and she heard the voice, it said get out, and she got out. She was terrified. So I broke her of that by, at Halloween, you're going to be aware of this one. At Halloween, they do the whole mini tours up at Waverly Hills. So you pay $20 and you get a tour of the building. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I took her on that. And on one of the sections of the tour, there's a long, dark hallway. And if you walk down the end of that hallway with your arms out like this and you turn around, you can see, hear, and feel the shadow people running around you. Mm-hmm. And so I sent her down there to do that, and that desensitized her enough to where she's actually an excellent investigator now. I'm really proud of her.
Okay, let's talk about modern history now. What kind of technology and tools do you use now? What stuff does it pick up? How does this all function?
So I have some of it here. This is a millimeter. So millimeter is... It's called a millimeter. M-E-L. And you can actually probably read it right there, millimeter. It's an electromagnetic field detector with a temperature gauge in it. So we can detect fluctuations in the electromagnetic fields, and temperature fluctuations. So the theory is, and like I said, because we cannot prove any of this yet. It's really just not been studied enough to be able to prove it, is what I believe. But the theory is that spirits will draw energy from things to enable to make sounds, speak to us, even become an apparition. And so that energy drain will drain your batteries. It will make a room cooler because they drain the heat out of the room. And that's why you end up getting cold spots. But also it creates where they've drawn that energy, it creates an electromagnetic field, which is the theory of why we can pick up where a spirit is nearby. Now, as a correlation, a lot of times when this thing starts going crazy, I'll end up with EVPs on my recording. You'll hear this thing start beeping, and then we'll get recordings of voices. And so they do kind of correlate to each other. I also use surveillance camera systems. I have 2 different surveillance camera systems. One of them is wireless with audio. One of them is wired without audio. But I'll use those in tandem with each other to capture a whole room. So we have audio in the room, and then we have different angles of the room. I use, the things you use to search for water, the little sticks. They're like copper. Mm-hmm. I actually use those sometimes because when you get near, the theory is when you get near a spirit, they'll cross. And so I do use those. They're divination rods. They were for water divining, is what most people in Appalachia used them for. But I've had some good luck using those things, taking pictures, and getting apparitions. So this is a spirit box. This is a communications device. It scans radio stations very, very fast. And the theory is it's that the spirits can manipulate the radio waves and make noises and sounds and say words. And I've gotten a lot of words. One of the investigations I went on, we kept getting this name Ruth over and over, Ruth. And I was like, who is Ruth? And then when we went to the Register of Deeds office and started looking through the old housing records, Ruth was the original owner of the house.
Nope, I'm done here, guys.
Wow.
Yeah, that's roll credits.
Do you, I'm not sure if we're allowed to, but can she play one of her best, clearest audio?
I don't have any of those on my phone, but I can show you some pretty awesome pictures. Let me show you a picture.
If you have any on your channel, just tell me which one it is, and I'll pull it up. We can play it here in the background. But this is wild. By the way,
you're muted, Ghost Girl.
Yeah, you're muted right now. Oh, unmute.
Sorry. So a lot of my investigations are private residentials, and I don't tend to publish or show that kind of stuff because it's people's private homes, and I try to respect their privacy. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'll show you guys a picture.
So I'm going to ask this question while you're there, though, doing your thing. Does any of this equipment react to your own body's electrical frequencies or emotional responses? I know that humans do have.
Can.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And it can also react to your phone, so you have to be just really aware of where you're putting it, where you're laying it, because you don't want to lay it near an electronic device. You don't want to.
Yes, Jeff.
I'm trying to.
I actually own 2 of them now, Jeff. She's paused. Yes. We're waiting for her to come back.
Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to.
No worries. So for you guys just joining us right now, this is Georgia Ghost Girl. She's a paranormal investigator, demonologist, amongst other things in her life. But she's here to show us some of the tools she uses, explain what goes on, and how these apparitions, ghosts, or specters are in our lives, and how we can interact or not interact, or if we should or shouldn't interact with them.
Yeah.
I hope we get more answers here going forward, because she is absolutely going super in depth. Yeah.
Give us some crosses. Give us some cross emojis in the chat, because I need some help here, people.
The power of Christ compels thee.
Yeah.
The fact that I can hear her while pauses give me full panic. That's about my pause activities. Yeah.
So in your investigations, do you, and you said that you typically deal with private residences. I would imagine that it's situations kind of typical to what you grew up in, where it's become an issue in the home and they're looking for you to remove it.
Yeah.
So
and
in those situations, how often do you find that it's something that can be easily fixed because you actually detected that it wasn't something paranormal, or you figured out it was something paranormal and you were able to fix it. Are you always able to fix it in that situation?
We are not always able to fix it. In fact, 9 times out of 10, we can't. The best thing I can bring is an explanation. And I'm having trouble finding the picture in this roll for some reason. And I just shared it into.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I just shared it into this into the thing the other day.
Oh, the one you put in Discord.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
The
later.
one I put. Yeah.
I know.
How do I fix that?
You'll see the little circle and X / out thing on. Yeah.
So you said 9 times out of 10 you're not
Beautifully
able to. 9 times out of 10 you're not able to stop the paranormal.
With a residual haunt, like I was saying earlier, one that's just kind of like it replays over and over again, there's no way to cross that over. It's a recording of energy. It's literally a part of the land there. There's no way to get rid of that.
So that's not a person's spirit trapped here. It's like a screensaver stuck on your screen.
A replay of the negative energy that happened there. Yeah. So like I said, it happens in a lot of traumatic events. Tragic things. I'm honestly surprised they're not seeing stuff like that at Ground Zero.
Tell me that they do. Tell me the difference between the ones that you described, the apparitions or ghosts or whatever we want to call them here, the proper ones that replay like a VHS tape that you can just see and you can't interact with them, and the difference between ones that you can interact with. Can you photograph both of them? Do you have the same kind of visual cues of them? Are they both cold as they walk by?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only difference is in the residual, which is like a replay, and an intelligent is it will actually communicate with you. Can you turn the flashlight on for me? Sometimes they will. You have to kind of halfway unscrew it, but they'll tap it, touch it. Can you ring the bell? You know, the little ding ding bell that you ring for assistance? One of those. That's one of my paranormal tools. Can you ring the bell? Can you touch the ball? Sometimes they'll talk to us. Through the spirit box, and I have another app that I use that's a paid app it is nothing but a sound bank. There's no words in it, but it can be manipulated into words. And the first time I used that on a location, we were sitting outside, we were letting everything record inside without anybody in there. It was a 10,000 square foot Annabelle mansion. Okay. And I'm like, I tell my team, we're all sitting in lawn chairs on the front porch. I'm going to go in and use the restroom. The minute I put my hand on the doorknob, the app says, she's back.
Whoa. Have you ever had a dialogue with a ghost that you've been hunting or came in an encounter with?
Oh, yeah. We've had dialogue with them. In fact, I've even had them say my name, like my legal government name. They remember you. If you've been to a location before and you go back, they remember you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The intelligent ones now, not like the ghost of Gettysburg.
Have you come across ancient apparitions, ghosts? And have you come across like dogs, cats, maybe mice? I don't know what becomes. How does one become a ghost?
Well, dying is the first step. A lot of tragic deaths end up in haunts, as you see in places like Gettysburg, Savannah. Savannah's more intelligent haunts than residual haunts. Like, you can communicate with the majority of those if you get a chance, especially at Bonaventure Cemetery. That's really interesting. But cats, I have encountered tons of ghost cats. In fact, there's one in my house.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I have the spirit of an old lady here. I call her Joan. There was a woman that passed away in my house in 2015. And my roommate he was not a believer at all.
Shoulder? She's the one over your shoulder?
Yep, that's her. You saw her?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. My roommate was not a believer at all until we moved into this house. And the first Christmas, he was here alone while I was up visiting my father. He called me at like 3 o'clock in the morning, freaked out. And he's like, there's somebody in the house. I hear him coming up the basement steps. And I was like, well, why are you calling me? Call the cops. And then I realized, you know what? That's the ghost. I was like, look down the steps. There's nobody there. And he looked. He's like, what am I hearing? I said, you're hearing the ghost. She climbs the steps in the middle of the night. I think she was doing laundry while everybody was asleep. Because the laundry room's down there.
Do you what do you think it is? Have you reached some sort of a trend or commonality of why they're here? On television and movies, they say unfinished business. Do you have any telltale sign of why are they still here?
There's a lot of different reasons a spirit becomes earthbound, and that's what I call them when they're stuck here. They're earthbound. That's the intelligent ones. Now the residual ones, they're just recordings. But I believe that traumatic events is one of the big things, but I think there's also some natural things that go in with it, like limestone deposits. When a building is built on limestone deposits, it tends to be more actively haunted than one that's not. So you get a lot of that up where I am, which is why we have a lot of interesting paranormal stuff going on in Georgia. In other places too, I'm pretty sure Waverly Hills is built on some limestone deposits, which makes a lot of sense. But that's one of the things. Running water nearby is another thing. So you get a lot of haunts at the ocean, near rivers. And if you kind of look at some of the most haunted locations, they are on limestone deposits around running water or had some major traumatic event happen there. Like the Villisca Axe House. Like that whole family in the middle of the night just wiped out by some stranger with their own axe, okay? Mm-hmm. And it has some pretty serious paranormal residue there and intelligence, too. There's a mixture in that house.
Okay, so I have a question for you. What does time of day have to do with the seeing of apparitions or
not
is it always at night? Only at night?
Oh. Nope, not at night. Not ever. I mean, you can find them at night. You can find them at daytime. You can find them at 3:00 in the afternoon or 3:00 in the morning because they're there. The reason people do it at night is because it's more terrifying for viewers. But the reality is I've gone into places in broad daylight and had the same experiences I had at night. I've taken my SLS camera, which I made. That is where you take an Xbox Kinect for not the new Xbox Ones and up, but the old Kinect. And you connect it to a Windows 10 tablet. You install some software, and it uses the Xbox camera to plot shapes of bodies. And I've caught the same apparitions with that thing in broad daylight as I have at 2:00 a.m.
Wow.
So there's no reason for time of day other than to give viewers that creepy feeling.
So I think most people think of this kind of stuff and they get scared because it's eerie. But in your experience, how often would you say the haunt is kind of leaning towards the scary end more than it is, this is just something that's happening. Yes, it's scary, but it's really not all that sinister.
So a lot of people are scared anytime there's something they can't explain. A lot of times when I go in and I can explain it, the scare goes away and they're like, okay, it's just, this or that and not a big deal. Mm-hmm. But when it is something malignant, that's very scary. It's not often sometimes that we can fix unless it's a fallen angel type situation. If it's just an angry ghost, he's probably not going to leave if we ask him to or offer to help him cross. So how often do I come across those? Like I said, the demons are very rare. And the angry ghosts, intelligent angry ghost, also kind of rare. I've only run across a few. Now, there are poltergeists too, but poltergeist is oftentimes a buildup of a person's own negative energy in their house rather than a ghost. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So that person, that's always got a negative ass attitude?
Yeah.
That person is a person that would end up with a poltergeist in their home because of their own behavior.
You're going to have one, Ferris. You and Tracksuit both. So,
darn it.
Okay, guys, hold on. Before we move forward, guys, this live is an interview with Georgia Ghost Girl. She's a paranormal investigator, a demonologist, amongst many other things. I see you guys throwing questions under the comments. I will see if I can get to some before the end, but we're still trying to listen, and we have so many questions right now. This is truly, truly interesting. For those who are scared down there in the comments,
Don't be
Too bad,
scared.
you'll be okay. Yeah, too bad, you'll be okay. The goosebumps you're feeling are just the ghosts leaving everybody else and coming to you. You'll be okay. Breathe. If you want to learn more information from Miss Ghost Girl here, make sure you give her a follow. Please support the live and ask her questions. Ask her questions. Ask her questions in her DMs. Ask her questions on her videos. Go watch her content. She's got some great stuff. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Ghost
Cody,
Girl.
you know you're scared. Cody's down there. Who's scared? It's you, Cody. You're scared. Don't wet your pants, man. We don't have any depends for you tonight.
All right. So I have a question to go with here. How has this work, your work of being a paranormal investigator and demonologist, affected your life, your sleep, your relationships, even your worldview, especially when you're investigating places that are still active homes or businesses?
So, one of my favorite stories, and not so favorite person, is the client from Hades. This guy calls me and he's like, look, I've had a couple of investigations done. They're telling me this and this and this is going on. And when I get there, nothing's going on other than the stuff he tried to stage. Like he hid some speakers up in the wall trying to convince me there were voices where there weren't. And what it was his drive was to try to rent it out as a haunted Airbnb, but it was literally not haunted. There was nothing going on there. And when I wouldn't say what he wanted me to say, he started stalking me. And I had to eventually have him criminally charged. And he was charged with harassment and stalking and harassing electronic communications, to which he eventually had to plead guilty. So it can really affect your life because some of these people are unhinged. And I have to be very careful which residences I go in. And this is another reason why I never go alone. Is if you go to one of these places where these people are unhinged, they could hurt you. And like I said earlier, the living are way scarier than the dead. But how's it affected relationships? I mean, not really. Most of my family, except for my dad, he's a big skeptic. But the rest of my family, they think it's cool. They're interested. They want to ask questions. And that's fine. I don't mind ever answering questions. Answering questions is the thing that keeps people from being terrified.
Okay. How much does it cost to hire you to come do what? How much does this typically cost to have you come out and do an investigation?
$0 for free. $0.
Why?
Now the bigger ones I pay to go on. Like when I go to Waverly Hills, I pay. But when I'm going out to do a residence,
is it free for you to come do this job? Your equipment costs money, costs your time.
Well, I accept donations. Don't get me wrong. If they want to give me $20 for gas, I'll take it. But I never charge. I never tell them this is what it'll cost for me to come. Because these people are scared in their homes. They're terrified. And the whole reason I got into this was not only to prove to myself that I'm not nuts, but also to help other people not be as scared as I was when I was growing up. And so I just don't feel like it's right to charge for it.
That's awesome. I want to plug your content for just a minute because I've ran across your, we've been following each other for a while, and of course I've ran across your content from time to time, but I actually deliberately went to your page today. You probably saw me scrolling through and creeping through. She has some really good content. If you haven't checked her out, you should go check her out. She tells really cool stories that you would expect. I wonder, do you have any content that you ever plan to? It's mostly telling stories about haunted places or haunted events that you're narrating, and it's funny, by the way. So do you ever have any plans to document one of your hunts where you're actually filming yourself and posting information that you yourself have derived?
Yes, I am going to eventually, not yet, because I had brain surgery less than a year ago. And so I don't want to go out in some haunted locations till I'm fully healed. But I do have plans to eventually do some live ghost hunts, like live from the location.
That's what I was going to ask.
And also videos. Cool. Yeah. So I want to do lives, let the people in the comment section ask questions for me to ask the spirits and it be fully interactive. And so that is the eventual plan. I just want to get to where I'm sure that I'm safe physically to do it because, like I said, brain surgery is kind of a big thing to recover from.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Have you ever worked alongside historians and archaeologists when you come across these apparitions or recordings or sounds? What surprising insights or collaborations came out of those partnerships?
So one of the oddest collaboration is the paleontologist I met through another ghost hunter. And he was also very up to date on historical artifacts. And we found a curse box. And I took it to him, and he was able to identify some of the items in it that I wasn't sure about. And he worked at the local university. But he was a pretty interesting guy. That's now, as far as like famous people, I have friends that were on a Hulu haunted series, and I've been on investigations with them as well. Like, we go as big groups sometimes when there's big property to cover, like a 10,000 square foot antebellum mansion.
Wow.
Wow. Do you so do you seek out yourself the hunts that you go on, or do you get tips from other people? Do you have like a hotline people call? How do you choose?
Well,
So I
had
have
a
a
Ghostbusters,
Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, who are you going to call, right?
Yeah.
I have a Facebook page. I have a business website, and for the sake of not doxing myself, I'm not going to give those out.
That's fine.
But people contact me through those. They also, I've had cases referred to me, a couple from the Roman Catholic Church.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Well, some from other foundations that aren't able to handle it. Like, they're overloaded, they're overburdened. They're like, this one's a little closer to you. Do you think you can pick it up? So I'll take them. But the bigger investigations like Waverly Hills, Trans-Allegheny, Eastern State Penitentiary, I have to pay to go on those. So that's me seeking those out, filling out an application, paying the reservation fee, and putting together a team to do the investigation.
So when you get approached by the Catholic Church to do one of these, how does that work? I mean, obviously that's probably significantly different from somebody just approaching you directly.
Yeah. Well, most of the time it ends up occurring as a text message now that they've got my phone number. But the original contact was through my Facebook page. And it was from a person at the Archdiocese of Atlanta. And they had a person that was convinced it was demonic, and they didn't believe it was demonic. And they were hoping that a paranormal investigator would just go out and do the investigation. And what I found was it was not demonic, but it was native. As in Native American curse, it's tied to the land. There's nothing we can do. You're either going to have to move or cope with it.
Wow.
But it at least answered the questions, because although it's terrifying, it wasn't dangerous to them. It was just terrifying. And once you get over the part
what was he
where
experiencing?
the first thing that they noticed was their child talking to somebody out in the yard when no one was there. And when they started asking about him, or who he was talking to, the child started talking about the Indian. You know, that's what they call him sometimes. And I mean, you know, feather kind, not the
Right.
gas station kind,
Pull
right?
Pull start, not push start. Got it.
Yeah, right. So things escalated to things getting moved in the house, doors opening and closing on their own, lights turning on and off when they weren't in the house. And this was before there were all these smart devices where you can do it from your phone. And so they started reaching out to the church, begging for help, because let's face it, the majority of these people that are having hauntings automatically assume it's demonic. Almost every time. They're like, I think I've got a demon in my house. And I'm like, no, probably not. Probably not. But they want to automatically, like, people automatically jump there because they're scared. They don't understand and they're scared. And so that's one of the things I do is, you know, when the Catholic Church would contact me, I'll just go out and do investigation and explain to them what I think is going on. And it's like, you level with them. Look, I know it's scary, but you're safe. This thing isn't going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt your kid. Now, there have been some times where I was like, look, this is scary, so dangerous. You really should move. That's happened a few times.
Oh.
But most of the time, it's not like that.
And did they move?
Oh, yeah. They did.
So just out of curiosity, so when a person moves in a situation like that, don't they have to disclose that to the next person who might buy the home? And do you know anything about that?
Depends on the state.
Okay.
It depends on the state. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Some
That's
states
interesting.
require that a haunting be disclosed. Most states do not. They did disclose it, and the person they sold it to was a paranormal investigator, not me. Not me. But they ended up selling it to a paranormal investigator, and people will pay for it. In fact, my sister was apartment complex manager, and I did an investigation on one of the apartments after there was a unaliving there. And like 6 months after I did the investigation, these guys come up and they're like, "Hey, we heard that this happened in this apartment. Is it haunted, and can we rent it?" There are people out there looking for it.
You mentioned that the place you live right now is haunted. And did you know that when you moved in there? Did you already know that?
Did you seek it out?
Before I put a bid on the house, I knew it was haunted because I walked through and I could feel it.
Wow.
I could feel it in here. Yeah.
All right, what's going on in your house? Tell us.
Right.
Well, the first thing is a lady passed here in 2015, sitting at the head of my kitchen table. She fell over. And the neighbor at the time that lived in the house to the left of mine was good friends with her and would come over here every morning and help her get her meds and get her coffee because the woman's kids were addicts and they were gone.
Oh, it's
and she passed away right there, and my neighbor found her. And my neighbor told me about it after I'd lived here about 6 months. I said, "So there's a spirit in my house. Do you have any clue of who it is?" And she told me. And I actually know where the lady's buried too. But things will get moved. And so my car keys are the most common thing. I have a hook. I hook my car keys to every day when I walk in the house. I don't just lay them down anywhere. They always go on that hook. However, sometimes when I go look at that hook, they're not there anymore. And I'll look at the hook. They'll be gone. I'll look all over the house. They'll be gone. And then I'll address her. Hey, Miss Joan, I really need to go somewhere. And you moved my keys. I need them back. And then I'll go back in there and they'll be back on the hook.
Oh, my Lord.
The footsteps up and down the stairs is a very common occurrence. Lights getting turned on in rooms I'm not in, very common occurrence. When I'm the only one in the house, like my roommate was gone for 2 weeks working in Columbia, South Carolina. This was like 6 months ago. And at the time, my cousin was living here too, but she was up visiting her mother in North Carolina, and I was the only one home. I had all the lights in the front part of the house off, the doors locked. I got up in the middle of the night. I heard a noise. I walked through the house. The living room lights on, the front bedroom lights on, and my dining room lights on. And I know I turned them all off. So I was like, that happens. And then sometimes you feel her watching you, like you can feel her looking at you. And there is an occasion or two where I have seen her out of the corner of my eye, out of my peripheral vision. And she's a salt and pepper haired, kind of short haired lady. She got the old Golden Girl style haircut. And she's wearing a white nightgown with pink flowers all over it. You can see it out of the corner of your eye walk by. But if you look straight on.
Wow. Have you ever felt that her presence or her spirit is annoyed with you being there at all? Or is it she's just, you guys are kind of getting along kind of like little kids?
She's just here. So I have a grandson. My daughter has a son. And when he was an infant, I would put him in the swing and I would start the swing. And one day I came out of my office and walked through, and he was sitting in his swing and he was asleep, and I could hear someone humming. And I looked in there, I was like, who's in the living room with the baby? And nobody's in there. My daughter's back in the kitchen. Who was humming? Joan was humming. And we heard it on several other occasions too. I don't think that she is threatened by me being here at all. In fact, I think that she's just glad somebody's finally taking care of the place because it was in a bit of disrepair when I bought it. So I really don't think there's a problem.
Yeah,
she may.
Sounds like she's enjoying the upgrades, so keep it up.
And it's kind of interesting to have her here. It gives me an opportunity to do some investigation, and I don't investigate my own house, but like making notes about the things that are happening. Someday I'm going to write a book.
All right. We're running low on time, but I do wanted to ask you one more question I have here, and then I have viewer questions from people down in the comments. To go back to the actual hunting part, in a state where humidity, old wiring, and centuries-old human drama can easily mimic ghostly activity, how do you rigorously separate genuine phenomena or psychological and crazy people shit?
Sometimes we can't. A lot of the times I can, and I use actual tools to debunk some things. So they're like, oh, the door swings open by itself. Well, I use a level to see if it's hanging flush. Because if it's not, it will swing on its own. And there's a scientific explanation behind that. And with old wiring, we have to take that into consideration. That's one of the reasons I get a baseline read before we start on the entire building with the EMF detectors and the millimeters. And then if we get fluctuations in that later, then that's a sign that it may be something different than just the wiring.
Okay. Excellent. Guys, for you guys just joining us, this is Georgia Ghost Girl. She's answering some questions. She's teaching us about paranormal activity and what she does as a paranormal investigator, her equipment, her tools, and what she does to break down and get through the BS to find out the reality of these things. So one of the questions down there in the comments that came from Bobby Cook was, when you take it, ask her about Myrtle's plantation.
Oh, Myrtle's plantation.
What about, give us a quick overview on what Myrtle's plantation is.
So very, very haunted, especially in the quarters of people who are owned by other people.
Okay.
And I have even seen a couple occasions where people have become possessed at the Myrtles.
Ooh.
So
Cool.
Danger. Be careful if you go.
Avoid.
Okay, cool. Do ghosts use energies like we use food, like batteries or electric? Do they feed off other things to get more powerful or to stay longer?
So when you're watching Ghost Hunters and they're like, oh, our batteries just drained. Well, that's not because the equipment's faulty. That's because the spirit drained the batteries. That's where they get their energy. It's just like eating the battery juice. Yeah.
Okay. Another question that I have is, are there different generations of ghosts in certain areas? Like we've seen asylums built on burial grounds and stuff, historically speaking, and there could be a Native American ghost, and then we could see people who are from tuberculosis camps and then from the asylums as well. Is it possible to see all the different apparitions in one place, or ghost, or
you can get different generations of ghosts? And one of the examples of that is a place in Huntington, West Virginia called Camden Park. Are you familiar? Camden Park it's built on an Indian burial ground, specifically mound builder Indians, okay? But there's also been some tragedy in the park over the years. Those rides, people get hurt, sometimes die on rides. So in Camden Park, you do have apparitions of Native Americans walking around the park. Sometimes people have seen them, people have photographed them. But you also have apparitions of people that were injured and passed on the rides. Specifically, there's the spirit of a child and a woman at Camden Park. The woman rides the Big Dipper, the very back seat. You look back, she's there. You look back again, she's gone.
Okay, that's weird.
All right, next question I have. I'm just going to move past that. Do you watch other ghost hunters, and who is your favorite?
I do watch some, and like I've met a lot of them. So Jason Hawes is one of my favorite ones. He's just all around nice guy. And Josh, let's see, what is his last name? He's Expedition X. I can't remember his last name right now. He was very kind. My least favorite is Zach Bagans because he plays too much bullshit and he takes too many risks he shouldn't. And when people see that and they see someone like him doing it, they think it's okay to do that.
Is Zach the one that
and then
bought
they go
that
do
house in Ohio?
Yeah, you're talking about Gary, Indiana, the demon house.
He bought that house? Okay, yeah, I saw that episode.
That's him.
Yeah.
And he does dumb things.
Like puts himself in danger.
Yeah, like, hey, demons, it's me, your boy. He
glory
addressed
hound.
them directly and then admitted that he belonged to them. So he gave him a right of possession just with that one phrase.
Okay. Why are Indian burial grounds worse than others? Like, are Indian spirits more aggressive, or is it just because they're the first ones and we usually avoid those areas?
It's not worse than even a human, like white people burial grounds, black people burial grounds, anybody burial grounds are supposed to be a sacred place where people don't mess around. And so when you get people coming in and digging up graves, the spirits don't like that.
Are the spirits usually stationary? Can they follow you around?
They can. I've had them follow me home. I've had spirits follow me home. Come home with me, be in my house for 3 days, and then they're gone. So the best thing I've figured out on that is that they can travel, but they have to go back to whatever their attachment is, whatever's keeping them here within 3 days.
Is that like a
Now-
physical object or a location
Sometimes.
that they're attached to?
Sometimes, and sometimes they're attached to an incident. You hear about the mother searching the graveyard for her infant, the woman in white. This is a kind of common urban legend in a lot of places. But the reason she's roaming is because she's looking for her child. She's trying to find her child. Or her child may not even be buried there, may be buried somewhere else, may still be alive. But she's attached to that idea that her child might be there. That's an unfinished business kind of thing.
Terrifying.
Sometimes the trauma leaves them there. Sometimes an attachment to an object. Case in point, haunted dolls, except for Annabelle, that's a demonic. But for the majority of haunted dolls, like the ones Chris has.
I was going to say,
those
Maggie
are-
Chris has some.
Mhm.
Oh, shit, I gotta ask her about that.
We're going to
So-
talk
Yeah,
about this.
and
We're gonna talk
I
about
have
this
some
later,
too.
or tomorrow, some other time. All right, last question we got from the comments down there is: do you think psychedelics thin the veil between spirits? Like you're more apt to be able to see, speak, or interact with just through psychedelics?
Don't use psychedelics and ghost hunt. Don't do that. That's dangerous.
There you go.
It's very
There you go. Don't
dangerous.
do it.
Don't do that.
So my sister-in-law does medium stuff, and she can tell when people are coming in there and they're under the influence of anything,
Mhm.
and she'll turn them away.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't
Interesting.
mess
Yeah.
around with that stuff.
All right, guys, this has been Georgia
And-
Ghost Girl. She's talking about her paranormal activity that she's investigated. She's talking about her demonology background. If you guys, in fact, want to learn more, go to her channel, her page, give her a follow. Go check out her stuff. It's very interesting. It's something worth watching, worth listening to. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to her, send her some DMs. This can be freaking excellent. I'd like to have you back again in the future, Ghost Girl. There's so much here we can go over. There's just so much. Plus,
Hit me up
there's so
around
much
Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'd like to bring you or join you on one of your ghost hunts if possible one day, just to follow along with it live. It'd be great to record.
I'm
it, put it
trying
out there for everybody.
to book Waverly Hills again, and that's not too awful far from you.
No, it's not. I'll be there. I'll meet you there. If you go, I'll meet you there.
Okay.
The
Oh,
Ozarks are very
Thank you.
I
haunted.
gotta see
so-
this.
The Ozarks
Yeah.
are very haunted. So I
Yeah, I've heard.
open that invitation. I'll join you.
Yeah, you are very
Okay.
interesting, Ghost Girl. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, make sure you give her a follow. This is, once again, is JoJo Ghost Girl. This is Engage the Chaos. We engage in some of the chaos here. This is absolutely wild information. Make sure you give her a follow, and we will have you back if that's okay with you. Ghost Girl, thank you so
I'd
much.
love to. And I want to say one thing to everybody.
Good.
Sleep tight if you dare.
Oh my God.
Pray for me.
I just got the worst itch ever.
Surround yourselves in the white light.
That's it. Surround yourselves in the white light.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Guys, this has been Engage Chaos. Make sure you give a follow. We'll see you next time. I'll be over on Enoch.
Unachunga nini?
Kwa kweli
Ulikuwa
jamani,
chunga
nimeona
nini?
nimefuata ile rekodi, sijapenda kabisa. Mwanamke mwenye ulishawahi kuishi na mwanamke akakuzalia watoto, uzalilishe mwanamke kumtandao hivi kweli? Na unajigamba tu na utafanyia na mwingine na mwingine baka kuacha salama.
Ule ni mwanaume tunazoona tabuchi yake hapa, kesho ataoa.
Hakuna da akili, hata kama ni mwanaume kuzalilisha mwanamke vile sio mzuri, sio mzuri. Kila kitu kinatoka na mwisho.
Ya na ingine kitu na mwanamke ili
Banamke ndio banazalilikaka.
first. Inabidi si banamke
Banamke ndio
tujiheshimie.
mnazalilikaka. Unapasha kamata nafasi hii.
Max kweli. Mie kaka wa kurikodi banamuke kabisa.
Batuma hii generation ya leo batarikodi. Tunaona hata nani ukule kubakinwa kale ka anje. Kale murikodi ule Raisa. Raisa kuna mtu
nako kule nako
chakula
kwa hivi
nini.
sudo vya
Ni
hivi.
huyu kama tu Jesse. Jana Raisa alilia. alilia Raisa Pindi.
Mungu wangu.
Hii generation. Ifo mkwe makini na bobu generation guys. Mkwe makini.
Ndio maana mimi bubu
garso bula
maisha yangu mazima sijawahi tongozwa na garso. Niwapenda kimie. Kweli haki ya Mungu mwanaume anakufanyia hivi Mungu wangu nakufa.
Hata nikuta wapi mie tu.
Hata kukuta kusimu.
Nisame.
Kusimu.
Hapana. Simu yangu ilienda mlisikia hata lizibangu litoka.
Kupitia mengi mu maisha iko njo una nani? Unakuwa desespere.
Kwa kweli Stefania anajua kutonga. Asante kuzalia baby. Takuzalia.
Anajua kutonga. Anajua tonga kiukweli.
Na ule garson alikuwa nishawezewa, acha kumcheka mwanamke wake mshenzi, ule alikuwa shawezewa. Yes baby, nizalie.
Shani na wewe unacheka. Haoni kama unacheka.
Shani anacheka.
Rafiki yangu alitonga vizuri kusema kweli, anashinda wanawake wengine hapo.
Hivi. Binandangu. Mungu wangu.
Tena alikuwa anatonga Kifaransa.
Mumupige nono dashari mumupige jori replay ndio mupige kimbora mwezi toke.
Haki ya Mungu. Ule kaka alikuwa na ule kaka alimwaga.
Replay mtu akosake busiku na mchana bando.
Haki ya Mungu Stefania wangu msimcheki mumfurahie tu jua najua tonga.
Mimi mpatia max 100%. Kabisa atapata diplome kabisa. Kumafundisho tena nishaleta kwa hii TikTok. Bwana aliniakilisha vizuri, kumbi mko mkazi. Yes. Mwanamke ni kutonga, unalala sabu? Hapana. Mko muangalie. Hata mipeke nitana si hata mampuya inapanda. Yes. Haleluya. Kwani ile ya kutonga mukibembe na wae. Iyo. Na wae. Hapana. Mwenzeni kwa tonga mkifaransa. Haleluya. Semeni amen. Kwa ile mtongo utapata bwana pa mwa TikTok. Kwa ile basi wazima na kuaribishia na audio. Haki ya Mungu bwana tatafuta apati ile mtongo. Kutonga vile. Tapata bwana. Bebe ile ni publicité.
Nende patia mzungu deni pardon. Nende patia mzungu deni.
Ni hatari kweli afuasha ishiwa. Iko nawaza vile mengi.
Wazi hata kwa sasa alikuwa karibu yangu ndio maana.
Haki ya Mungu. Ni hatari dashani. Au limpatia da kujua kutonga. Ama we. Tena onde tonga. Kubona sasa SJ. Ile mutongo napasha itongea PDG. Tongea ayo ku PDG. Haleluya.
Uchumani haramu uchuma. Anaenda tuma mtu analia kia Mungu.
Hapana, niko tu na nani na mefani mefam forte ikala fasi moya erere moya aezi fanya ki uji
atakosa na hiki pole.
Kama ni erere mbili wala tatu, kama Mungu anasema tusame mara 7. Wewe sasa njoo ujisame kisha uikali fasi moya uangalie kia kufanya kama mtu mzima, usiongezake kabisa. Hivi vikupe marawa last warning. Yeah. C'est pas bon. Kwa ile macho yako yote ya pale wende kutembea.
Hapa nishone na kwa mchezo. Ukigombana na mtu akiwa na hasira na anaenda kutafuta mwana ex wako ampatie audio ake kuplay. Ndo system na ndio vilitokea leo. Unanisema mu prive na asirika na tafuta ex wako na mleta kumtandao ake kuplay. Kazi ipo.
Na unajua hakuna ex mwenye anaweza sema mtu mwenye alikuwa na yeye kizuri, labda wangu njoo baliwaileta na iko atomboka. Sitaki, ule ni mama watoto yangu na sitaki kujiingiza mubyenu. Mungu ambariki. La sivyo angenisambu saka ya kusaka noti.
Mwanaume utafikiri amekula moroko. $7 kanamsema.
Dachuma. Unajua kama wanaume kama umo aliplay bako na umo ni za kike.
Awe.
Wanaume kama hao wanakuwa na umo ni za kike.
Lakini mkeli watamfungulia panele huyu.
Sio mwanaume 100%. Homoni zake ni za kike, za wanawake.
Awe.
Ndo wanakuwa na ropoka, mwanaume anachamba kama mwanamke. Ndo wanakuwa na homoni za kike.
Haleluya.
Ndapenda na mwanaume kama wewe unajuta kuzaliwa. Unatamani ufe wala uzaliwe ufe.
Sisa vile ile yenye nani DJ alikuwa anatukana nani bibi yake ase kibuchi kishapanuka mpaka nilikuwa naingia na migulu na vipasi na makicho.
Sasa mwanaume anatukana mwanamke mwenzako hivi. Bule kweli ni mtu. Anatukana mke wake alimzalia watoto hivi. Na kutakuta ile maziwa amelalisha yeye, ile buchi kupanuka kaipanua yeye kumfanya kila siku. Yeye. Maana vinamke vingi vikishaolewa tu vinajiachia. Usi wanangu ataenda wapi? Ndo shida hiyo.
Uchi unakuwa wazi sasa wenyewe ni nani?
Uchi unakuwa wazi. Mume mwanaume yuko na kuchora. Na anaenda kukusema kwa mwanamke wenzako. Wewe ndio mtamsheri bibi yangu ana buchi bupana.
Wanasemaka, wanatuambiaka bibi yangu iko na buchi na unatoa mifuzi.
Yes.
Hivi ukimgeuza mifuzi inatoka.
Buchi unajamba. Kosa kuweka maeni ya tomate huko mbele.
Na mchamba bibi yake. Nikamwambia sitaona mchamba bibi yako. Kesho na ukienda kutongoza mwingine sitanichamba. Nikafukuza shenzi.
Mungu wangu.
Nikamwambia mkoshi wa bibi yako ushazana naye watoto 4. Uko na mtemo. Je, mimi sasa
ninaingia mkazi.
Okay, dasani bye.
Haleluya.
Dasuma nilimfukuzaga. Mtu mwenye akimsema vibaya bibi yake na uje kesho atakusema mbaya.
Yes. Na sipendaki ule wana mwenye mutakutana na kila siku. Atakuwa napenda ajue relation yako na ex wako kila siku. Ex wako alikuwa hivi na hivi. Ex wako hivi. We. Koma di. Relation yangu ni ya sai. Koma. Nakutana piko mtu mnaingia mu relation me kila siku atakuwa iko nasema ex wa. Babona wa mudomo spendai. Ya Mike shamwangika azoleki. Ndio vile na dunia ya leo iko satu. Dunia ya leo wakiona mtu analumia mubarabara, hakuna mwanamfanyiziaka wa service ya kwanza, banataka wanakamata makamera wanaanza filme. Njo dunia leo. Takutana mutu iko nazalia munjia, hata musovi wanakamata makamera wanasi filme. Na njo bibi vya ku TikTok. Mutu akinyamba hapa hatuwezi tawaza. Ndio maana ukiona tukukutawaza usituchukie juu na we kubia mwingine kinyamba hautamtawaza. Hatutawazanaki hapa.
Ndio vile vile nilipanda pale nikaambia come forte akanishusha. Ndio niendelea sasa.
Hatutawazanaki. Kwa hiyo ndugu yangu ifo sasa wenjo utie akili fasi moyo, angalie vya kufanya tena, usingi yake mwa hii erere saa ya leo. C'est fini. Yeah. Mais à part ça, aibu ni yetu si wote wanamke na tunajua. Malgré tutacheka wala tutapartager wala tutafurahi wala tutafanya nini, aibu yako ni aibu yetu. Vouloir ou pas, tupende tukatale. Et c'est ça. Na kwanza haikuwa hata aibu juu ilikuwa muma voice audio, haikuwa hata ni video. Ndio maana wewe usikumbuke hata ile haikuwa hata aibu ya ile. Kwanza ni mafundisho, mimi nilishaona tu ni mafundisho ya Mutombo. Banamke mujue Elia mkitani.